Good morning. Good morning. Oh, I'm so happy to be here. I'm Julie Bonhorst. I bring greetings from Westminster, Colorado, where I'm living full-time now, having sold my house a couple of months ago here in Brighton. I'm one of CUUB's founders, along with my husband, Bill Dodson, Alyssa and George Walsh. Love you, George. Miss you too. Terry and Carol Gannon. And Terry, may you continue on the road to recovery. Wish he was here today. Liz and Hank Feyrich and Sherry Polash. Of the 9 of us, 7 of us lived in Heartland. Mike Bignell dubbed us the Heartland Mafia. I'm glad you're here, Mike. I'm really so very happy to be here today with y'all. Although this particular part, public speaking, not my jam, bear with me. As anthropologist Margaret Mead said, famously, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. I imagine 3 major players involved in the very earliest vision of a UU church in Livingston County. 1, I had the great good fortune, like Esther, to be raised Unitarian Universalist. My parents lived the last half of their married life in East Lansing and were leaders at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Greater Lansing. Bill and I and our 2 kids, Ben and Olivia, have wonderful memories of attending Christmas Eve and other services there as they were growing up in Heartland. The second player is that years before CUUB was even a twinkle in anyone's eye, my friend Catherine Brandon suggested we start a salon or discussion group. Our salon met monthly for many years, or well, a few years. There was a talking stick. We talked of matters of great importance. The salon included the Walshes, the Feyrichs, and the Gannons, among other people. And the third player was a soccer tournament in Dayton, Ohio, of all things. Spring 1998. Our son Ben was on a travel team, and Bill carpooled with 3 dads to Dayton, and those dads were founding St. Mary Magdalene up the road. And Bill said, well, if they can start a church, I can start a church. The salon members decided that was a splendid idea, and we're excited, and we were off to the races. We contacted the district and Reverend Charlotte Cowton, and then we contacted the headquarters in Boston, the Unitarian Universalist Association headquarters. They sent us 2 startup manuals, a green one and a blue one. I don't know why I remember that. The first order of business was to create a steering committee, and the salon friends were on board, ready for the challenge. Ooh, it was a big challenge, it turns out. Next, Bill was interviewed in the Livingston County Press and Argus about starting a liberal religious home in the area. We invited interested people for a meetup in our living room. And thank goodness Sherry was among those folks who showed up, and she quickly joined the steering committee. We worked and hustled over the summer, putting together all the parts of a Sunday service. We secured a location at the Beck Building in downtown Brighton and held our first service that September. Our vision was to build a community of like-minded, like-hearted people to establish a liberal religious presence in Livingston County within and beyond our walls, and especially to create a spiritual home for our children. Now more than ever do we need this community as we're living through these fraught times, our very democracy being tested. So many joys have been part of our story, transforming this building into a sanctuary, watching our kids grow up in this community, the youth group trips, including to South Dakota, Colorado, up north to pull invasive baby's breath, the social justice outreach and taking it to the streets, CUUB camping, the many and such fun parties. Oh my gosh. Thank you, faces. The care and share fair, empty bowls, on and on. I've given birth to 2 babies in my life, and I feel like CUUB is my 3rd baby. Pottery and the Pottery Studio have been an especially important ministry to me personally. Over these 25 plus years, CUUB's health has been tested too. As we have resolved one conflict or another, I recall some phrases and warnings. Herding cats is how you use are described. We are an opinionated lot. Feed the peaceful wolf, not the hungry wolf, as the story goes. And amen to all the lessons learned. We've matured over the years and through these conflicts. We've survived COVID. Loyalty and commitment to the mission and vision of this congregation, living the values laid out in the, is it now 8 principles?
The shared CUU values.
Is the 8th principle? No, because I attended church in Golden, Colorado, and they have adopted the 8th principle of fighting oppression and racism, but still 7. The 7 are good. And being our better selves, this is the community we imagined. Keep the dream alive, keep the chalice burning. Livingston County needs CUUB. Thank you. I love you.
Oh, well. Well, back in September of 1998, the first services of CUUB were held with the founders performing the roles of worship leader, piano player, thank you, Alyssa, greeters, church in a box builders, and founder Julie Bonhorst as religious education coordinator. Each Sunday after story time, Julie would lead the children up the stairs and down the hall to a marvelous large motor playroom where the children learned about love, respect for all people, and how to have fun together. The children loved the playroom and Julie, and CUUB's children's program began to grow. Offering a religious education program has always been a moving force at CUUB. One of CUUB's original intents was to provide an alternative source of religious experience available to families of all beliefs. A church of open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. A church with an emphasis on love and respect and being one with the world. The program grew over the years with help from numerous volunteers and special religious education staff members like Ann Rogers, who was our first hired SE person, and then was followed by Janet Carr, who for years was our volunteer religious education coordinator, and was our teacher every Sunday in a one-room schoolhouse, she called it. That was followed by Beth Havlick, who started with working 5 hours a week and was with the program for many, many years and grew with it and was the person that instituted the renaming of the program to Spiritual Exploration. Some other special volunteers are Brian Havlick, who took the OWL program to the highest level, and team leaders Robin Rogers-Reef, Denise Urban, Amy Lemke, Eric Hyland, Tom Voth, and now Joni Grobe. And also Tricia Ibrahim worked on being a coordinator for a year. I also joined on early as a teacher and a team member, so I've been with the program since it started. CUUB has also sponsored 3 coming-of-age programs and celebrations and at least 4 service travel trips. In 2020, the COVID years started. It caused a pause in our offerings as children and parents were not interested in meeting on Zoom. But then in 2021, Joni Grobe and I reinstituted the Spiritual Exploration Program. It was a slow start. Some Sundays there were no children, but gradually we have built a core group of more than 10 children between the ages of 4 and 12, and a larger group of additional dozen that occasionally attend. In 2022, the board initiated a paid part-time special exploration coordinator position. That position is currently held by Jean Zibel, who has created a new level of consistency in our mission to offer an alternative source of religious beliefs and information for families of all beliefs, while having fun. And now Sue.
I don't think I'll have to move this mic. It's nice going after a short person. So I'm Sue Kelly. I'm currently the Social Justice Chair. And CUUB is known in Livingston County, as many of you know, as by our allies as a congregation that shows up. It fills me with pride to know that our social justice team's a big reason for that. Our past social justice chairs, Julie Bonhorst, Sherry Polash, Katie Andrews, and Alicia Zemper, all left legacies of activism. Julie started up our pottery booth at the farmers market, where donated funds go to a worthy charity. Sherry started a networking effort held at CUUB for other like-minded local nonprofits. Katie led us in notable rallies at the Mill Pond. And Alicia was exemplary in modeling how to be there for a Spanish-speaking asylum seeker. She went to court, she helped with translation of paperwork, all kinds of things. And these are just a little bit of what those women did in our past. Now, I don't need to tell any of you how crucial it is that CUUB shows up these days. With all of the vitriol towards immigrants, the LGBTQ community, and our country's disinterest in our county's disinterest in providing solutions for the most vulnerable in our area, we must show up. Yesterday, several of us hosted a CUUB table at the Community Connect, an event where county social services offered information on the resources available to eligible county residents. There were lots of giveaways like diapers, socks, free haircuts, health screenings. One table was a a group of, I assume mostly ladies because they were staffing the table, but had created all these handmade quilts that they were giving away. They were Scrapaholics, I think their group's name was. Amazing to see these families walking through with handmade quilts to take home. It was just wonderful. We gave away winter hats and gloves. 403 guests stopped at our table, taking at least one winter hat. I loved hearing my CUUB colleagues at the table say to people coming by, take as many hats as you need. And meant it. We were so thrilled to see people take 2 and 3 hats or more, and had some of the kids wearing them. It was just great. We will continue participating in this event, and if you have some simple knitting or crocheting skills, let's talk, or want to learn. Under the leadership of Beth Duman and Vicki Indermule, with Michaela Masiak leading our pottery studio and producing bowls, we'll be hosting an Empty Bowls on May 18. This is an effort where you come in and you make a donation and you pick out a pottery bowl that you'd like to take home, and you have a bowl of soup with us. And those donations will all go to folks suffering with food insecurity. Reverend Ruger has been instrumental in working with other interested congregations, moving in an effective direction to establish a permanent short-term housing solution in our county. With the enthusiastic support of the CUUB board, we were able to donate $5,000 of the Toyota grant to the effort. Deacon Aaliyah from Chilson Hills came to our service recently and shared how this funding came at a perfect time and will contribute to a family in great need in the county. At the end of March, we'll revisit the climate revival. Bless you, Dan. We will focus on renewing our green sanctuary designation and learn more about living our environmental values. Details to come. As has been our practice for many years, we'll show up to local Pride events in June and celebrate. We have a wonderful time doing that, and if you've ever come to any of our tabling events, we just have a wonderful time doing that. The vision I see for CUUB's future social justice efforts is continuing to show up. We have an impact, whether it's kids walking away wearing our new winter hats, teenagers taking their photo by our pride flag at our pottery booth, or seeing a permanent short-term housing effort come to fruition. And there is room for you to help with any of our efforts. We're only limited by the number of people that can volunteer for these efforts and even come up with some of your own. So thanks very much for being the social justice warriors that the community sees us as. And I just have to say, I am so happy about those park rangers. I follow that too. That just fills me with joy. Thanks.
Good morning. I'm grateful for the short mic. So I'm to talk about the welcoming ministry of our congregation. And like and unlike some of the previous CUUBies who have spoken, there are leaders in our church who have created the welcoming environment, but it's really all of our responsibility. And so I want to talk a little bit about that today and the spirit that we attempt to embody here at CUUB. I want to start by telling you about the first time I came to CUUB, which was like 24 years ago. I wasn't there right at the beginning, but pretty quick. And I came to church that day. I'd been a UU for years, and we were in the basement at the Beck building. And I'll be honest, I found my way there, and I thought, what the heck are they doing? Is this the right place? I asked someone, is there a UU church meeting down here? Oh yeah, come on. Okay. And the people in this room took a shell of an old school cafeteria that was in the basement with hardly any windows and kind of an old cafeteria smell. And they created a sacred space that brought tears to your eyes and chills. You'd get goosebumps because it was a sanctuary, and they made that. That's creating a welcoming space. And that first time that I went there, I'd been a UU, so I hung out. And after church, they said, we have a meeting today. Do you want to stay? And I said, well, I'm just here for the first time. Someone said, we don't care. We have soup. and bread. Do you like soup? Well, sure, okay. And I wanted to check these people out, right? So I stayed for the soup and bread. And I remember Carol brought this really delicious bread. So I sat there and I ate soup and I literally broke bread with these people, right? And I tried to stay quiet. I was a visitor. They're having conversation. I don't remember about what. And then somebody turned to me and said, "Hey, you're new here, but what do you think?" And I remember saying, I don't remember my opinion, but I remember saying, "Well, I'd like to start by saying thank you for the soup. Thank you for the bread. It's been very nice." And then I said something about whatever we were talking about. I thought of that story this week as I got prepared to talk about being a welcoming congregation, because beyond the official designation that we long earned of being a welcoming congregation, meaning that we did formal training as a church to ensure that we can be welcoming to LGBTQ people, and boy, that's more important than ever. But well beyond that, we need to be welcoming in 1,000 ways on Sundays and every day. And so the concept that I hold in my heart, and that I've talked about some here at CUUB, with regard to being welcoming, is a concept of radical hospitality. Maybe some of you have heard that word before. If you look it up, some Christian churches talk about radical hospitality as a way to get new members. That's not what we're doing here. I chaired membership for a while. We're not trying to convert people. We're not trying ostensibly to get new members. We are trying to speak our truth. And if you agree with our truth and you want to join us, ours is not a caravan of despair. Join us, friends, if you're so moved to do so, right? That's radical hospitality. So the definition that I espouse, that I want to share with you and inspire you by, radical hospitality is a way of gathering in which all participants actively contribute with food, ideas, energy, and love to the community to create an inclusive and equitable space. It shifts the movement of energy found in traditional forms of church hospitality. Rather than the church driving the experience, the individuals participating collectively contribute to create a space that is equal, where people feel comfortable enough to show up as their most authentic selves. While the idea seems simple enough to understand, of course, it's much more nuanced and complicated to execute, like the idea of equality itself. The concept is radical because the church doesn't belong to one person. Rather, it's about the community and putting people on equal footing. Radical hospitality empowers folks to have the freedom to exchange respect, empathy, love, and ideas in a genuine or authentic way. It's not about glorifying the church or members of the church, flexing on social media, or driving an agenda. It is simply a curated space where people can live deeply and richly. So how do we create moments of radical hospitality? I promise I'll be brief. In short, I think we need to be thoughtful, respectful, deliberate in our intentions, and always authentic, as those members were in deliberately creating that space in the basement of the Beck building 25 years ago. None of that was accidental. None of that was easy. It was all really, really hard, and we're so grateful for it. So inside of our walls, how do we demonstrate that we are welcoming? It starts on our outside walls. We need to have the pride flag and the BLM banner, and every time people steal it or deface it, we replace it again. Last time we ordered 2. Bring it. We're ready. Take it down. We got more. We'll keep ordering. We have gender-inclusive bathrooms. That was never a consideration or a conversation when we built this building, of course. We have bathrooms with tampons in them, so if you're a person who has a uterus that bleeds, you're welcome here. We're ready for you. We have ramps outside at more than one door. Welcome. Please come in. We've committed and invested our money and our energy in having continued Zoom sessions on Sunday so that people who are not able to be live with us in church can continue attending, and there's no end to that. We didn't stop that at the end of COVID. We had difficult conversations about how we were going to continue to extend our resources to provide for people who can't be here in person. We always have greeters that don't pressure anyone. I hope, right? We're aggressively friendly, but not pushy. Maybe we're a little bit, I hope we're not. I hope we're not. It's little things. When we have food, we try to make sure that we have stuff for our vegetarian and gluten-free members. We try hard. When we serve alcohol at events, we have it to the side for anyone in recovery so that they won't feel left out or tempted if they're not in that space. These are thoughtful, intentional, radically hospitable moves that matter when we take them in total. How do we carry this with us beyond our walls, as we say? I want to sort of encourage everyone to take the radical hospitality that you experience here on Sundays, let it fill you up, and take that with you into the hurting world, because we are needed. We are needed. How can we be radical? How can we be radically hospitable and welcoming in every space we move in through the week? We all have examples of that. We've heard examples of that today, but I need to let you know, if I'm in an elevator and I have a feeling I'm with a marginalized person in any way, I make eye contact with them and greet them so that they know if shit goes down, I've got their back. I see you. I am with you. Good morning, friend. Right? When Amanda talked about picking up a person who was riding their bike in the snowstorm, that is being a welcoming you. That is being radically hospitable. I want us all to look for and find those spaces organically as they occur and live our UU values in the world. This week, I'm an employee of the federal government, and we were asked this week to take down any form of DEI recognition that we have in our offices. I was asked to remove my rainbow lanyard. I wrote an email to my supervisors, and I said, I have to conscientiously object to this because it's against my religion to not participate. Now, I don't know what they'll do.
We're here for you, Michelle.
I said I need to understand. I get there's some question about the division of church and state, and it's against my religion to not support people of all diverse backgrounds. I need further instruction on how I'm expected to behave. So we'll see. I'll let you know. So in closing, I want to talk about that. I want to emphasize that radical hospitality is not performative. We are a religion of deeds, not creeds, and that must be true if in any space in being welcoming. We're not going to pretend to love anyone. We're going to get to know you and discover who you are and then fall in love with you authentically. That's who we're about. This isn't about we love everyone. No. We need to see your heart, and we have the belief that there is love to be had with every person, that every person is lovable in their core and deserving of that acceptance fully, transparently, authentically. And that, friends, is how we become and continue to be a face of welcoming and radical hospitality so desperately needed in Livingston County. Thank you.